Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals, like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500. That's audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
I do have to say right away that I am on generator power right now. We had our first winter storm. And
really?
And the power was kicked off, and I ran and got that generator going. So if it does kick off, it's running out of gas.
That'll be a first. Are you up by the Arctic Circle? Where are you?
I am right on the Minnesota border, right across from International Falls, Minnesota, in a little community called Fort Francis, Ontario.
And he's the king there too.
Wow.
All right, Red. So we're gonna talk about your past, your glorious past, all your escapades in the National Hockey League.
It's a good word.
Escapades. Seriously. So Tom will do a very short intro here because he's very short. He's a very short person.
Mike, how tall are you? Just because Tom's a height bully.
I am 5'5".
No, you're not.
You're like 6'1".
Yeah. Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyone who's not over 6 feet, Tom's like just a bully towards.
Well, there's some guys that haven't taken care of themselves too, like a little bit like that stung by that bee.
Keep using that joke about Gerald did it.
But I feel bad for him, right? It's like promoting bad health.
Yeah, so you don't like short people or fat people.
So, Brad, here's a good question for you. So, you kept yourself in shape. You're healthy and everything, right?
I am now. I went through a huge weight gain and lost it all. Yeah, so I was until I had my knee redone, and yeah, so I've lost probably 60 pounds.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Wow,
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay, so Halloween's coming up. So we give out candy to kids. Like, you may as well just give them poison. Like, give them cigarettes.
Exactly.
Here we go.
Okay.
One day a year, man.
But they were telling these kids that, okay, this is a good thing. This is like a reward.
It's one day a year.
Yeah, but then the rest of their life they're thinking this is good. They're giving me candy because I'm a good person, so I can.
Listen, remember when you were a kid, you went trick or treating and someone gave you an apple, you were like, "Fuck this!"
No,
right?
no.
You ate the apple?
Exactly. That's exactly
apple.
one of those apples.
Right, apple.
All right, well,
All right, Tom, let's go. Let's go.
do
We're
it.
Going on the show here. Here we go.
Hey, Tom, we have on a former teammate of yours who liked you so much he followed you to another location in L.A. He burst on the scene with the Rangers at 19, scored 26 goals his rookie year. We have number 14, Mike Allison.
Right, one of my favorite players all time. I'm going to tell a quick story right off the bat, LA story, and tell me if I get this right. So we're in LA, Gretzky got traded there, and Mike and I had both played with Eddie Neal, and we called him Potato Head in New York.
Oh, no.
So I guess I knew, but kind of forgotten that Eddie was Wayne Gretzky's best man and very good friend. So it was a preseason game, and Mike and I, veteran guys, a bunch of young guys in the locker room, and we were being smart asses, and we're talking about Eddie, telling stories and everything. Like Eddie in the hatchback with Greshner, Duguay. In fact, it was Eddie's hatchback.
Wait, you stuffed him in the back of his own car?
He stuffed himself in the back of his own car because he wanted to hang out with those guys so much. So we're telling all these stories, and we think we're really funny, and Wayne's in the room, and we're not realizing. And so we get done, and we're high-fiving each other. We go into the trainer's room, and Wayne follows us in the trainer's room and says, you guys do know that Eddie's my best friend, my best man. And Mike and I are both looking at each other like, oh, God, we're getting traded.
I was gone. No, I was.
Is that correct? Is that how it went down?
Well, there was never any fear about you getting traded, but there was about me getting traded. There was.
Wayne was good, though. He took it like about 15 seconds, and he just laughed. So, Red, you grew up in Fort Francis. That was your hometown?
I was born and raised in Fort Francis, and it's a small little community, a pulp and paper community, right on the Minnesota border, across from International Falls. And it's It's a beautiful place to grow up. It's a lake community, and it's a real community. Sense of community here. So I finally moved back in the late '90s, and have been here ever since. Met my wife, and I know she's listening somewhere, so it's been bliss ever since.
You're a good husband. How long have you been married?
Almost 20 years. Just right at 20 years.
Just a one marriage?
Just one marriage.
Jeez, that's a record for hockey players.
Tom doesn't know what that's like.
Oh, God. So you've been married for 20 years. I was married twice, and I did in total 20 years of marriage.
Well, I mean, it's hard to keep you tied down. I would think you're very a lot of. I remember playing with you, how popular you were. So it was Ron Duguay and then you.
I would leave the Garden sometimes, and people would ask me like, "Are you Don Maloney?" And they didn't know who I was.
Or where are my seats, sir?
I know. They wouldn't know who I was. So, Red, were you a good hockey player when you first started as a kid?
My dad was a teacher, and so we went to actually Wales to an exchange program. So I didn't get back until I was 8 and started playing hockey. And I was a bigger kid than most people, and I could always see the game well. My skills weren't necessarily that great, but so yeah, I was a pretty good athlete at a young age, and in a small community. So if you're any good, you're not bad in a small community.
Right. So it's just you and your brother?
I have 2 sisters, and my older sister was by far the better athlete of all of us, and it never had an opportunity for women at that time.
Right.
She was she was tougher. She was smarter. She was more skilled. She was great at whatever she did. And I often tell her that. And she says, I know. She doesn't. Exactly. Well, I have a brother also. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a brother. He played a short period of time in the NHL. And then he was at one time, I think, the record holder for penalties in the American hockey.
That's right. And coached for a bit too, didn't he?
He was coaching up until last year. And the first year he hasn't been coaching. He's been all over the world coaching. And I think he'd probably still like to be coaching, but he's back here in Fort Francis. I say the best thing that ever happened to me was getting into hockey. The best thing next to that was getting out of hockey, because there wasn't the stress of and somebody else is controlling your life. And when I got out of hockey, my life, I met my wife, and my life took a different direction, and I really appreciated the whole new direction.
I know.
Really enjoyed it.
Isn't it true? You don't realize when you're playing how messed up of a world it really is, right?
Oh, it is. Yeah. I think it's everywhere, but the petty power that people have over you, and can dictate your life. You talk about the thing with Eddie Mew and Wayne. I mean, I hate to say it, when something like that happened, I was worried. Oh my God, am I really what?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah,
that's a great point, because we talk a lot of times about how athletes say it was great, everything was done for us, but no, we never really get into the fact that actually you were being controlled while things were being done for you.
Very true.
And certain players, myself more so than Tom was. I mean, I don't mean to. I don't think I got a lot enough out of my own talent, but that was my own doing partly. But Tom was much more established than I was, so I was always on the verge of. At least I felt I was always on the verge of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, and then being gone. And so if you have somebody in your corner, which I did at different times, Kirkpatrick was wonderful to me. Robbie Vittorek was wonderful to me. Then they're always giving you feel that you feel safe and secure. But when you get into some other people that they are playing that angle that, hey, you're not safe and secure. You better get your act together here, or do what I say, or you're gone.
But it's amazing. We've had this conversation before where you said that to me, that you didn't feel totally secure. But I think a lot of other teammates of yours looked at you that you were totally secure. Maybe you weren't that great offensive player that maybe people thought you were going to be at the start, but you became that grinded out, penalty killing, face-off guy that everybody wanted you on the team. And believe me, but I'm with you though. It's I've told a story before where and Tom actually got the All-Star ballot for me. I was on the All-Star ballot in 1987. That was the weirdest feeling. Like I really believed in myself as a player, but I thought I can't play in the All-Star game. That's just not what I do.
Well, that was the year they spelled James Patrick wrong, right?
Is that what I said?
It is. I think we lost Mike. I think the generator cut out.
So Mike Allison is our guest here right now. And he's up in Fort Francis, Ontario, big snowstorm. And oh, okay, very cool. All right, so here we are. This is the first for us. Okay, what? What episode is this for us?
This is about our 75th, maybe 74th, 75th episode.
So our 75th episode. This is the first time our guest has now gone down to fill up the generator because they don't have any power. So he's using the generator. Mike Allison. Scott, how are you doing there, Mrs. Allison? How are you? It's Tom Laidlaw speaking.
Hi, Tom. I'm great.
Great to meet you. He has said wonderful things about you. So I'm glad to meet you finally.
Well, I heard him say that I was listening, so he had to.
No. I got to tell you, your husband was one of my all-time favorite teammates, and I mean that very seriously. He just we started together, played together in New York and L.A., and just I always loved playing with him. A fantastic competitor, great teammate, good person. So you picked a good one.
It's just coming back up.
Right. Okay.
But he's just wonderful. He keeps very busy here at the lake. We have lots of things to do around here, so lots of he's doing great.
You know what? When you get off the show, please ask him about Big Jim Sports Campers. Okay, have him tell you that story. Yeah. Okay. We'll discuss it on the show, but he was on fire one time. We were out having a couple of adult beverages.
We're on the show right now, Tom.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I just thought I was having a conversation with Lisa.
Well, it's so wonderful to talk to you guys. Thank you.
All right, we're waiting for Mike Allison to get back on. Probably the highlight of our show so far was to meet his wife and talk to her, Lisa Allison, up in Fort Francis, Ontario. Wonderful person. It's interesting maybe to play with somebody you don't see him for years, and then you married, kids, and all that kind of stuff. Good to catch up and see what's going on in their life. So again, we're on with Mike Allison. We started the show. He's up in Fort Francis. They had a big snowstorm, lost power, so he had powered up his generator. And partway through the show, the generator ran out of fuel, so he had to refuel it. No big deal. We're fine. Then Lisa jumped on, his wonderful wife that I just met, had a great conversation, and now we're waiting for the great Mike Allison. So people don't know, Mike and I started together our rookie year in the National Hockey League, 1980-81. Freddie Shiro was our coach at the time, and Mike was the centerman, and we had, so during that year, here he comes back on. During that year, can you believe that? That's good. That's the first for our show. I like that. We've rolled through it. Your wife jumped on. We had a great conversation with her. So it's good.
Yeah. I got it out of propane now. So now it's set. It shouldn't run out of propane.
So is it one of those portable generators or you've got a fixed generator?
I've got a fixed generator, but it doesn't kick on automatically.
Okay.
I got to go down and start it.
Oh, so I here living in Rybrook years ago, we had a big storm. I think Sandy came through. And I didn't have a generator, and we lost power for a week. So I went and bought a generator. The power never went out again, obviously, right? So as soon as you buy the generator, you never use it.
We went out at Christmas time for 36 hours one time, and we're 40 below. Right. So, and we get our water from the lake, so we need the heat tape. So I've always had a generator for a long time, but you don't use it very often.
Yeah. And you should go out and start it every once in a while too, right? Isn't that like every 6 months or so?
I installed a new one just this summer, and the guy said once a month go out. And I have a battery to start it, and it's hooked onto a battery maintainer. But he said start it, run it, and so and then the power went out this morning at 7. I thought, oh my god.
So what if the battery goes out? Can you start it manually?
I can start it manually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't want to try. But,
right. It's funny how like people just take it for granted that we got power, right? Like. Then you lose it. You're like, it's a big deal. You think there's some places around the world they don't have power. So, yeah.
Excuse me. I was outside too. There's a lot going on today on the show, Tom. This is great.
Yeah, it's good. A lot of action.
Steve Aurelio says hello from the Rangers.
Very good. He was not around when Mike Allison was around. Remember, who's the guy? I can't remember. Remember the guy that was the intern, young guy with our team. Is he out again? He's frozen again. Oh, there we go. He's back. Now he's back.
Are you putting like snake oil on that generator?
I think it came from you guys. I was always moving. I should say that. I could see myself moving. I can't look at Tom too much. I got to look at myself. I make sure that.
I'm the same way. You know that.
Oh no, another one? Really?
I've gotten worse. I'm more of an egomaniac now than I ever was. Yeah, I love myself.
Oh, yes.
So just so Tom is a big Ranger fan. He's now shaking his head. So we tell some of these stories that we did past. He's like, I saw a bunch of mudheads.
Yeah. You guys are definitely knuckleheads.
Yeah. The reason I was talking about the young guy who was an intern, he ended up being a big shot at Madison Square Garden. Do you remember? I can't remember what it was. There's a young guy that was an intern. I'll think of his name. And you remember him. He was the guy that would, travel around with us and give us our hotel keys and everything. And we
John
were
Rosasco?
no, it's awful. We were picking on him all the time. He ended up being like the second in command to Mr. Dolan, the guard.
Really?
I hadn't seen him in years since we were picking on him. And he came walking over and he's dying laughing because he knows I'm just cringing, right? Like he's, oh my God, I can't believe we treated him that way. Remember Helene Elliott, the right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. So
She went from New York to LA.
yeah.
All of you guys.
So she, I ended up when I was an agent, I had Warren Reichel as a client. She was covering the Anaheim Ducks and he was playing for the Ducks. So she wanted to do an interview and get some quotes from me. So it goes back. I guess we can tell the story. So I used to walk around with one of the white tube socks on my penis,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
thinking I was, and I would tell everybody I was Mr. Nude Northern Michigan. And she was in the room. She had a great sense of humor, but it was totally wrong. And so now she calls me to do this interview for Warren Reichel, and I'm just cringing because now I'm a father, I'm married, and all this kind of stuff. I'm thinking back to the way I was acting, and she was dying laughing. She could tell how much he was like I was cringing about this stuff.
So you're walking around the locker room with the sock on your jaw.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing else on.
I remember nothing else on, and calling myself Mr. Nude Northern. They're just prancing around too. Like,
Who else is doing stupid things like this?
I think I was.
Mike, did you try to stop him? Like, hey Tom, what are you doing?
I mean, they were ridiculous. When I same year when Tom and I broke in, it was something similar. I know the veteran said to me, "Oh, when the first time ever having, for me, female reporters in the room," and they said to me, "Oh, you don't put a towel." They take offense to that, and it's when they're interviewing you have to be. And so I was, embarrassed, but I guess I followed the rule. And finally, one of the, I don't think it was Helene, but I thought somebody else came up and said, you can put a towel on when we're interviewing you after the game. I had no idea, but I can remember Tom driving around. Oh God! And he was built. He was. It was.
Who told you that?
The sock was. It was one of those ankle socks.
No, it's a foot long. What are you talking about? It goes up to your calf. What are you talking about? Oh,
Well, yeah, speaking of that rookie year, so you guys came in together. You both made the team in '81. Mike finished 11th in Calder voting. Tom, I don't see you on the list for Calder voting at all.
I deferred to Mike because he and I are good friends, good teammates, so I let him be. Hold on, I remember the guy's name, Barry Watkins. You remember Barry Watkins?
Oh yeah.
So that was the guy. He ended up being like second in Kent. I just want to make sure I get that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How you doing, Barry? So Tom, Mike finished behind Peter Stastny, Larry Murphy, Darryl Sutter, Don Beaupre, Dennis Savard, all these Hall of Famers, and no mention of Tom Laidlaw.
No, not there at all. But you know what? Mike did have a really good. So we had Phil Esposito retired halfway through the year as a centerman. Alfie got hurt, correct?
Yes, he did. And Walter Chuck was the other one, but
right. So and Mike deserved it, but he just went becoming the number one centerman of the team and really played that way too. So.
Who were you playing with that year, Mike?
Mostly Donnie Maloney and Eddie Johnson. Yeah, they were jam line. They called it the jam line. And I started with Alfie and Anders my first game.
All right.
And then Alfie got hurt. I was just in a circumstance where the top Alfie, Walkachuk got hurt, and then Phil retired. And so they were desperate for not desperate for a center, but I just happened to slide into a situation that was really good, and then struggled the next number of years under Herb came in.
But you say you struggled though. Like maybe you weren't the offensive player that you were that first year, but defensively you were still that. I thought it just changed your role, really, right?
I mean, I have to admit, Herb taught me the game and taught me the game, the 200-foot game, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But at the same time, he was. I know you have a different experience with Herb, but Herb was terrible to me, I thought. And I would drive home, my second, third year where he was there, where I considered just letting myself go as I'm driving on the highway. That's how he had got me.
You considered hurting yourself. Wow, I did not know that, Red. Wow.
No, you hide that. Like you're embarrassed by it, and I was hurting so much inside. And he's, I don't think he's looking. I take a lot of the responsibility because I didn't prepare. I didn't get myself in good enough shape. I didn't do the things that I needed to, yet at the same time, when you're a 19, 20-year-old sensitive, but you don't understand why they're coming after you the way as your coach. And this is supposed to be a safe, secure spot, but it wasn't. And so I look back on it. Now, I talked to Herb after I ran into him when he was scouting, and I was playing with the Kings. I was sitting in the press box. I talked to him. I didn't say much about that, but I thought, man, you could handle it better, and I could handle it.
You know what's amazing too, Red? And I think there's a lot of guys like I never would have realized about you. I always viewed you as a strong guy coming to the locker room, personality, funny, good teammate, and all that. But I think there's probably a lot of guys like that was just like they were hiding their feelings, right? We wanted to pretend that we're these tough guys all the time. Wow, so. Did you ever get help with that? Did you ever talk to anybody?
I did, and and it was Craig Patrick that got me to go see someone in New York, and and I've continued on throughout my life. That infrequently, but if I needed some help, went and talked to somebody. And
so, did you go to Craig and tell him how you were feeling?
No.
Oh, so how did he know that you needed some help then?
I don't know if it was Herb or if it was Craig, but Craig was the one that suggested I see it. See someone, and he set me up with someone, and it was just I hate to say it, you're always worried, even though they're not supposed to say something. You're to the your employers.
Yeah.
I was always concerned about that, but it was good for me to get that, be able to speak with someone and just start to figure out, okay, how do I get it? How do I get it? Because what was it? Hutchinson Parkway? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember driving, and they had those old stone bridges.
Yeah, sure.
Up the highway, and just thinking, why don't I just drive into that?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just, it wasn't all the time, but it was just, Herb had treated us. That's not the generator. So, that's.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's us. That's the lovely landscaping.
Hold on. We didn't.
Yeah, I'll edit this. I thought you were going to say that you got so downtrodden because Laidlaw's with that thing on his dick. That really not. I thought he got so depressed because you walk around with that thing on your dick,
I would have been depressed if it was if that.
And that's one of those things too that I really felt like that.
Yeah, listening to nobody but yourself.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And then you think 30 years later, you're cringing on the phone because now you're married with kids and everything.
Well, now also you could get that's harassment.
Oh, it's totally locker room. Yeah. I apologize.
Understandably so. Different time.
Oh God.
Different acceptance.
Oh. To her credit, she had a great sense of humor about it because that was totally rude, disrespectful. Any word you want to use, it was just totally uncalled. And again,
she was wonderful.
Oh yeah, she really was.
The Rangers beat writer now is Molly Walker. Now imagine if someone today, 23 years walking around like that, they would be, they'd be rightly so.
Remember when Wayne Gretzky got traded to LA after the games? All the movie stars are in the locker room. Goldie Hawn's in there with Kurt Russell. So it's Goldie Hawn. Like Mike said before, we used to having female reporters in there, but this is Goldie Hawn, a movie star. And we're all getting undressed. And I would love to tell you that she was staring at me. She was not. She was just casually looking around the room. And at the same time, I dropped all my gear and I'm standing there naked in Goldie Hawn. And she looked at me for like half a second or whatever.
She looked at you and went, nope.
Oh, God. Yeah, I looked down and go, sorry, Goldie.
Well, what did Kurt Russell say about that?
Yeah, nothing. They're all looking around. I guess they're used to it. They're around hockey players all the time. So, yeah. And it's the movie industry where she's used to seeing large penises.
But she saw yours.
Yeah, that's what I said. She's used to
right. So she has to balance it out a little.
Oh, God. I'll never forget. Remember that, Brett, when he got there, how different it was, how it changed when Wayne came in?
Did Wayne ever have like meetings with you guys to say, okay, this is what I want you to do this. I want you to do this.
No, it was more. Well, remember, we all got along good. Timmy Waters and I played together. So Wayne really openly would try. I think he went out of his way to show that he was not coaching the team, although he was. Influence, yeah. So there was an offensive opportunity. I can't remember the circumstance. And he wanted like Steve Duchesne and Bernie Nichols on the ice with him. And Rob Fedoruk loved Tim and Tom. So he threw Tim and Tom out with Wayne in this offensive opportunity. And we're skating out. And Wayne turns and looks at us and rolls his eyes. They're like, oh, my God, I'm out there with these two guys. And, he's a good guy. So you knew he really wasn't negative towards us. He just wanted somebody different. So he laughed about it afterwards.
I can remember with Wayne, the first year with Wayne coming to New York and playing the Rangers. And I was on the ice, and it was the last minute of the game. We were up by a goal, and intercepted a pass, the one the Rangers passed, and it was open net. I shot in the empty net, and Tom keeps and Wayne and Bernie Nichols. I was playing on the ice with them, and Tom came up to me and said, "Last time you're out in the last minute of the game, you're going to get this block."
So. Mike, when you score, they look at you like, oh yeah, kind of like a half celebration, like great.
Like that, but I gave up that.
Get the puck to Wayne.
And again, we're telling stories about Wayne, but he's really a good guy. But Wayne it was about scoring.
Go on his points, yeah.
So it's same kind of situation. We're up like a goal or two maybe, and he's on the ice, and I've got the puck in our zone. There must be like 10 seconds left, and the other team had just kind of quit. So I'm just skating around with the puck in our own zone.
Oh, he wants to bury that empty netter.
And he's yelling at me to pass the fucking center ice, and I wouldn't do it. I was being a jerk, and he was mad. Like he wanted the puck, he wanted to score. So I kind of admired him for that way, but it's like I said, like Red and I, like he was great to us, but we really weren't his guys, right? Like it was Marty McSorley, Krushelinski, Steve Duchesne, Bernie Nichols. Again, he wasn't bad to us anyway, but we still Red, you're still now. Go ahead.
He was good to me. Wayne was good to me. I mean, I mean, for a superstar and the power that he held, he was smart about it,
right?
Subtle about it, and yeah, he was good to me. And then when he got traded, I was the broadcaster, and so I had to support the Kings in their trade.
That's right.
And I don't think it was the right move for the Kings to make, and I had to say it. He was upset about the trade.
Right. Were you still with the team when we played Detroit and Robbie benched him?
Yes.
Yeah, Robbie was a lot like Kirby, but maybe better ways in that he was really a commanding presence, right? Like he'd walk in the locker room and you knew that Robbie was in charge. He was boss. He knew what he was doing. He had his way. He was very definitive about it too. He had his way of doing it. And yeah, but I think it's just so different than when Wayne wanted to do it, right? Like nobody would have 3-minute shifts like Wade would in Robbie's scenario. Robbie would want people at the 45-second shifts.
But nobody scored 200 points a year, though,
No question.
But those guys had, and I don't think it was just some people say it was Wayne, but I think it was more than those guys, Bernie and Luke and Wayne. They had career years. I'm not career Wayne, not obviously, but those guys had career years under Robbie. Robbie knew all that, got them situations that were, and then Bernie was gone the next year. Tommy Webster came in, got rid of him, and I don't think we realize sometimes how good we have it until that person's gone.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, and Tommy Webster, for whatever reason, it's like he had I just didn't get along at all. A lot of it was my fault too. Like you talked before about your stuff, where I just didn't take care of myself in my back. So I was in and out of the lineup, and I was supposed to be the guy that you'd always rely on to be in the lineup all the time. And I was in it. I was out of the lineup. I was in it. And Tommy and I didn't get along at all. God, we've lost him. I think he passed away a few years ago, like 10, 12 years ago or something.
I'm not sure about Tommy.
Yeah.
I didn't get along with him either. I don't know if I mean, I can't see how any coach wouldn't get along with you. I really can't.
Well, even after the sock incident?
Well, I mean, they would love having a guy standing beside him with a sock like that small.
The ankle sock.
But no, but really though, Tom was the ultimate teammate, and he was the ultimate professional. And so I don't see if you didn't get along with Tom. I mean, not that I didn't get along with Tom, but I just thought he could be petty.
Yeah, right. It was kind of like, yeah. I remember when Phil was here and he hired Tom Webster, and he came right out and said to the whole team, says, I'm going to hire somebody that's going to do exactly what I tell him to do. So right off the bat, the guy loses all credibility. Right?
Loses the room right away, right?
Yeah. So Phil was great. And I talk about Phil, he traded me. But Phil was fantastic to me too. Like even as a player, his first year, it was great. But
how's your relationship with Phil, Mike?
I like Phil. I did. I really liked him. He was really good to me as a player. Now I was his first trade.
Oh, really? That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. When he became general manager, so that might tell you how much he liked me. But I didn't take it personal. Though and the only absolutely sad thing about it is when he did trade me, he wasn't able to get a hold of me.
Oh, that's it. Tell the story.
Yeah. I found out from the trainer and the New York trainer. I was phoning about something. I was on my way back, and I'm a pretty frugal guy, and so I was in Minneapolis, and I was looking for the the Rangers hotel room rate, and I phoned, and the trainer had to say, "You've been traded. You haven't heard?"
And tell the story, because you were dating Jeremy Maloney, was our trainer. And Red was dating his daughter. A gorgeous girl too. And she dumped you after that?
No, we were driving back to New York, and then we got to Minneapolis. We were with a couple of buddies of mine and their wives, and we stopped in Minneapolis for a few days. And that's when I found I got traded. So we had to get her a flight back, and I had to come back to Fort Passas and go. And then that year she dumped me. She said, "Oh my God!" She said she had saw this YouTube was a form of YouTube. There was this video on it of this guy walking around the dressing room with the sock on.
That's my guy.
She wanted to date him.
That's my guy.
And that was the trade to Toronto, correct?
That was
Walpa W.
Oh, Walpa W, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Walpa W came in and 40 goals and yeah, he was it was a good trade for Phil. It turned out really well.
Mike, we asked this question of guys who've been traded, and Thomas brought it up. Like, how do you feel once you get traded? Are you saying, who'd I get traded for? What'd they get? Are you like instantly ego checking right there?
I think so, but not really for me. I was always nervous going into a new situation. So I was more worried about the team that I was going to, and was I going to be accepted there? And how was I going to fit in there? Because usually when you're in a team and you feel comfortable, Walt was from not far away from where I lived, so I knew Walt. We're totally different players. And then I got traded for a guy named Sean McKenna from LA to Toronto.
Oh.
And we were both really journey type players, so it wasn't any real reach for me. I want to have a better season than the guy that was that I was traded for, yes, but Walt got 40 goals and I think I got 7. So,
no.
And I was a defensive forward either, as Tom's going to say.
You downplay your career too much. I view you totally different. So, but really quick, I'll go back to Jerry Maloney. Remember him? So Jerry Maloney was our equipment trainer. Fantastic person.
My daughter.
Oh, what's that? Sorry?
On daughter.
She was hot. Yes, she was very hot. Just like your wife now, probably even your wife's daughter.
My wife doesn't know about her. Oh, she is now.
Does now. But Jerry had this terrible stuttering problem. And he got on the phone one time. I've told the story. He's got on the phone one time. He had to call Steve Vickers' wife for some reason. And he's nervous. He started stuttering more. And she thought he was some pervert on the phone. So, so he's trying to get the words out. And we let it go for a little while. But then we finally grabbed the phone and said, listen, it's Jerry Maloney. Poor guy. He had a great sense of humor. Like, we would make fun of him. I know it sounds kind of weird. I'd make fun of a guy with a stuttering problem. But
it's interesting that now you're all about mental health and well-being and loving yourself after being such a bully for all those years. Jesus.
Oh, it is true, right? God.
So you're just doing penance with this whole lifestyle that you're leading.
Yes. There's a lot of work to do. Hopefully I live for another 100 years because I had a lot of work to do to clear up all the past.
Tom was a great teammate. Was a great teammate. Was as a wonderful teammate as anyone I played with. And no, I did play. I think she's almost six years with Tom. 8 years. Eight of my 10 years with Tom. Yeah, 2 different teams. So, but he was a great teammate. Just Tom leader.
Tom avoided getting hazed. Did you get initiated when you were a rookie?
No, I got initiated. I did. Yeah,
it was in Vancouver too, wasn't
it? Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. It was. Who wants to touch somebody else's private parts? I don't get it. You know.
No. Yeah, you didn't like. You've been very open. We did a show before. You didn't like it at all.
No. I thought it was. I would never have done it when I was. After I never got involved in it. It was. I thought it was. And now I was a 19-year-old kid coming in, having a pretty good year. Probably lippy, saying too much, and deserved some sort of being put into place. But I'm glad to see. Hopefully that most of that is taken.
Yeah, it's stopped now. So people don't know, back in the past, it was kind of like a rite of passage to like shave a guy's testicles and shave his head.
Yeah.
And the worst was Chris Katsopoulos when they got him. Were you there for that one? You were there for that.
He was a rookie too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So Ed Kotze wouldn't stop talking at all. And they would warn him too, like, listen, you got to stop talking. He was always like trying to give his opinion and everything. So they got him, man. They had tied him to I can still see this. Like, Kotze's the Greek guy with the boils all over his body and everything. And they tied him to the table. They had a stick underneath his arms, tied his, like he used Jesus cross. Then they attached the skate lace to his penis and put it up over a pipe up top and stretched it just tight enough that if he moved too much, he's ripping his junk off. And then I believe it was Steve Vickers got a paper cup and urinated in the cup right in front of Kotze so he could see that. And then he goes and he pours the urine out. But Kotze doesn't know that he's pouring the urine out. He comes back with a cup of warm water. So Kotze still thinks that cup has had penis in it. And then they hold his nose and they start pouring what he thinks is urine down his throat.
That's great. And that helps the team. How does that help you?
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I don't get it. I know.
No,
That's the thing.
I mean, if you have a lippy rookie, you can say, "Hey, Rook, grab the sticks or grab the bag or pick up the pucks." But like,
Now I think they make them pay.
Yeah. The restaurant.
I'm so frugal. I'd rather get my my sack shaped.
Red, you there? Oh,
I'm here. I'm here.
okay, good deal. Sorry.
yeah. So Mike was saying that he'd rather get shaved than have to pay for a rookie.
I know, right? What was your salary your first year? My first year salary was $60,000. What you mean?
That's what mine was.
Was it? Think about that. And then we thought we were like living high off the hog too, right?
What's the rookie minimum now? 900,000.
Might be up that high now. Yeah.
My dad was a school teacher and had taught for 30 years, and I think he was making 44 at that same year. Yeah.
Did you ever needle him a little bit? Like, hey, Dad, I'm 19, but making more than you.
No, my dad, he right away he said, I had an agent that was Bill Waters, and he was charging me so many percent. He said, and back then it was inflation was high, interest rates were high. My dad said, "Let me take it over for it," and he said, so he just put me on a budget and invested my money and most of it was in GICs because they were making, I don't know how much, over 10%, but it was thankfully my dad took over. Was able to. He was an economics teacher, and he thought, well, I know
Well,
what.
there you go.
Isn't it weird? Going back to the whole hazing thing, you think about like it was just like that was just what we did back then, right? And then you think now, like, what was the point? It just does nothing.
Does nothing at all.
I don't see how it never made me feel closer. I felt some resentment to a couple of them that took it a little too far. I did. So I don't understand. I don't. And we're touching somebody else's.
I know. Yeah, I think that's part of that's the way we lived back then. I'm not trying to make this right at all, but that's kind of the logic we had, that everybody else had always done it this way. So that's just what we're going to do.
Could you see anyone in the current Rangers doing that to another Ranger?
Yeah,
like,
like Henry Lindquist comes up and they're going to shave Henry Lindquist, right?
Mike, are you following the Rangers still? Or are you keeping up with that?
Oh yeah, New York Rangers right there. Can you see that? New York Rangers.
Was that the one that Phyllis Zito bought us?
I think that's what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I dug that out when so do I follow? Yeah, I'm actually I haven't been to a game to Madison Square Gardens, but we're heading to New York in early December, and we're going to the game. We're going to.
Have you talked to Jackie, or the one that runs our?
Jackie, yeah.
Okay.
So she and right online, I or right on the air here, I'm saying, okay, where do I stay? What hotel? You guys got any?
They'll put you up. Are they flying you in?
No. I'm just coming in. We're just coming.
So call Jackie. They got a rate at the Renaissance on 35th. It's like 2 blocks away from the Garden.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they'll get a special rate. If you call her, she'll probably pick it up for you too. But either way, you get a special rate. It's a nice hotel. I was actually there the other night. They had a nice restaurant there, Versa. And again, it's really close to the Garden.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm glad I said that. Yeah.
We'll have to make sure Tom comes down and spends a little time with you.
Oh, my
buddy's
God.
in town.
The only, my wife would love that. I mean, she hears these Tom Laidlaw stories and she says, "Oh,
She really did seem like, I was actually kind of glad we were talking to her. She's a sweetheart.
Does she have an ankle sock you can borrow?
I'm not, no socks are coming in that bag.
He'll keep it. Don't worry.
Oh, God. Okay. The story I wanted to talk about, the Big Jim Sports Campers. So we've had James Patrick on the show a couple times. Very like a gentleman, very strict the way he lives, and one of his things is that he wants to be called James. That's it. You can't call him Jim. Actually, I was watching a Philadelphia broadcast the other day. We were playing, and the broadcaster was calling Jimmy Patrick. And I was dying laughing because, but James, no, this is it. It's James Patrick, and that's it. So we were out. It was a rare night that we were out having a couple of cocktails. Didn't happen too often. And we're with the three of us are together. And Red got into this thing in his hometown of Fort Francis. There was a place called Big Jim Sports Campers.
Okay.
So he went on this long thing. James Patrick calling him Big Jim at the Big Jim Sports Campers. I was dying laughing. I was peeing my pants.
How do you take it?
I think he was all right, wasn't he? He was staying pretty good.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Go.
But I hate to say it, somebody's always I'm like one of those marionettes, and Tom's always here manipulating me what to say.
Wait, Laidlaw was pulling the strings?
Oh
No.
he did.
Red said, not that you're on your own. That you're on fire. Oh,
Probably
What an instigator.
yeah, I was terrible.
He was, and he still is.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, when we used to go in the locker room, it's like a switch would go off, and I just would nonstop, just babbling the whole time, talking, stirring trouble. Remember, Jay's, Red's right. He was one of those great teammates as well. But he he would get sulking sometimes. So I did something to him, some practical joke or whatever, some picking on him, and he was mad at me. So he wouldn't talk to me for a whole week. And then after the week is over with, he comes to me apologizing that he was sulking. It wouldn't talk to me. Here's what I started all the trouble.
Oh. You just defined an abusive relationship.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah.
He was a perfectionist. He always strived to be in everything. He just never stopped.
Well, who were some of your other favorite teammates that you guys played with at that time?
Well, I really like James. I like his brother Steven too. I was looking for a place to stay, and Steven took me in New York. He was only there for a short period of time, a couple of years, but he said, "Come on, live with me." And so I really liked him. I really liked the Rangers and the team we had. It was a really we had 5 guys or 4 guys that lived in the city, so we didn't see them much, or I didn't. But I can remember Ron taking me out. He was with Carol, and I was dating Jerry's daughter, Kim, and he took us out after the game once, and then I got left in. We had a Halloween party. I don't know if you remember this. Lanes or one of those things. Yeah. And I drove down with Willie Huber. And so into the city from Rye, drove in. We met at Ron's place. Ron Gressner had us over for drinks, and all the wives and all the players went to the studio. And I was dressed in my costume. Thankfully, I had put $20 in my sock. I didn't have a wallet or anything. And all of a sudden, everyone's gone. There's not a single. Willie took off on me, drove home. And thankfully, I remembered the address where Ron lived. And I took a cab there. I had $20 in my sock. And the doorman wouldn't let me in. He let me stay in the mailroom and sleep on the floor. And then Ron said, "What do you pick me up?" He said, "I'll make sure Ron gets you in the morning." But I just loved Rod Gressner. I just loved it. He was just, Mark Pavich, I really, he was quiet, but I really liked him. I just, and he was my
Rare Rutzelainen was good. Jan Eriksson, all those guys. Yeah, good guys.
Like if James could shoot the puck like Rare Rutzelainen, James would have been like even a higher caliber than he was. He just couldn't shoot the puck.
Yeah.
No one feared his shot, and man, he could do everything else but shoot the puck. And I don't mean to say that.
Yeah, no, true. You know what? Like at Barry Beck, like he was that all-around player, right? Captain, shoot the puck, power play, penalty killing, hit. And James was that same, like maybe he's like the number 2 guy in that category. But you're right, he just didn't have that big, powerful shot. We could skate, do it all.
Well, you said you didn't have a shot either, right?
Oh, no, I was terrible.
No, Tom didn't. But Tom started off as a guy that could, well, obviously, his career, he could contribute offensively. And then he accepted this role, and he thrived in this role of shutting people down. And what a place to be able to do was to have a coach have that confidence. Hey, the best move on the ice, and you're out there.
Yeah, I know you didn't have a great relationship with Herb, but with me, it was like there's limited conversation. Really, it was more like he told me to start the year, give the puck to somebody else. You're not supposed to have it. And then he followed through with like playing me in all those defensive situations. So I said, okay, it's a 2-way street. I'll do what he wants, and he give me what I want. So
it's like, yeah. I'm sorry for interrupting, but didn't he say something that one time about
yeah. So I had to, like to your point, I had a good rookie year, 6 goals, 23 assists. I'm thinking that I'm going to be this good 2-way defenseman when we go through training camp. It's the last practice before our first game in the Garden. Where I play that, he gets everybody together at center ice. He's going around the whole team saying, Barry Beck, here's your role. Allison, he waits to the end with me, and he says, "Laidlaw, if you get the puck, give it to somebody else. You're not supposed to." Remember that? Oh God! And the guys were dying laughing, and I'm like, "You jerk! Like, what is this all about?" I didn't know him at that point, and I realized later on that was.
But it worked for you with him. But for other, like Mike, you're not alone. A lot of guys we've had on have said they had issues with her. It just didn't work out with.
Yeah, like Dave Maloney, Ron Gressner, those guys.
Mike Rogers.
Yeah. No, I was seriously considering hurting myself. And it was my relationship a lot with her. And,
did you tell Craig that you felt that way?
No, I didn't tell anyone.
Craig just knew?
I'm sorry, Tom.
No, I said Craig just knew. He was insightful enough to pick that up.
I don't know if he knew that, or I don't know if it was Herb or Craig, but they suggested I speak with someone. So I don't know if they really knew where I was, but they could tell I needed some help, mentally.
Did you tell your family? Did you tell your family or anybody else?
No, I told my family. I came out 10, 15 years ago. They interviewed me as a professional athlete here locally, and I came out and said the struggles I had with this wanting to take my life. Just wanting to be out of this pain and sharing it with them. I thought it was a time to share. So since then people have asked me about it in regards to locally and said, okay, can you just speak to someone? I can only relay my situation, but I always say get professional. I just think it's really good, and it's helped me, continue to seek it, with my marriage. My wife is wonderful, but my own issues, not often. Once every 3 or 4 years, I might go and speak to someone and say, how can I ever get that sock out of my mind?
But Red, so do you think you would have felt that way had it not been for hockey? It was because of hockey and the way Herb treated you?
I think it would have been. I think it was not necessarily hockey, but it was the way the way I felt, right. and I probably, hockey can be cruel. They can be cruel. Coaches can be cruel, and they think that. I think the game has changed somewhat. If you continue to treat people like that, look at what's happened to Babcock. And when that came out, I said, "Oh my God." And I used to like to watch Babcock when he's in Toronto. I thought, man, he could speak well. But when I heard the stories, I said, man, I can see that. I can.
Wow.
I
like that. You'll have frauds in Detroit. Talks the same way. Like he went through with Babcock. Yeah.
But Mike, you're not alone. There's a lot of players we've had on this show that have had similar situations to you, similar stories where they didn't get help, but they were in a terrible spot, like Richie Pilon, Corey Hirsch. I mean, there's been so many guys who have had issues with their mental health, and I guess the stigma is being lifted, which is a good thing.
Well, that's Red. So you're saying this is huge. Like it helps a lot of people to see somebody that's a professional athlete that went through that, and then they got help. But you're right, to Tom's point. I think that's one of the kind of the surprises with the show for us, that we've done 70-some shows. We've had, well, including you now, like 6 guys that have either attempted suicide or contemplated suicide.
Yeah. I would think it's the number's much higher than that.
Sure.
And are you comfortable speaking about it? I mean,
right.
And it's a long time in my past. I've never felt that way since then in regards to wanting to crash into a bridge, since those couple of years in New York. So it was directly related to the way I was being treated, but I own some of it, how I handled it going into it, but I don't own what was said.
Right.
No one can, Herb shouldn't have done what some of the things he did. He shouldn't have. I mean, he thought he was motivated. He wasn't.
Right. And now that you're telling me this, Red, I start to think back to, I remember a game in Toronto, and I was always talking in the locker room, trying to get the guys going. And one in Toronto, you were doing that one. You did a lot of times, but this one particular night you did. And remember, he said something to you like, what are you doing talking? Like really ridicule you. And I kind of forgot about it until you started telling me all this stuff. And like, yeah, he was, again, for me, it was, the relationship was fantastic. So I really wasn't seeing how badly he was treating other players.
But that doesn't sound like motivation. That just sounds cruel.
Yeah, well, I do remember when he said that to you, like, hey, what are you saying that to him for? Like, there's no point to it, right?
Well, and he, they think they're saying it as motivation, but you have to, I think a really good coach recognizes the strength and weakness. That's not how to reach me. That wasn't how to reach me. That would crush me. And, so it was a long struggle to get out of that. I mean, Tommy Webster said some stupid things to me too. But at that time I was 29. I didn't, I could deal with it. I wasn't a young kid. And finally I said to Tommy Webster, at the end of my last season, I still had another year of the contract, but I said to him in the coaches meeting, we always met after the season with the coaches. And I said, I recognize that you see me in this light as a player, as a 4th or 5th line player, but you have to, I want to let you know, I want to go to bat for this team. But when you say these things to these people, and treat these people this way, it's hard to, I said in a very soft way. I knew I was taking a chance by relaying this to him. And then sure enough, in training camp the next year, it was in Hull, Quebec, and we went to training camp. 3 days into training camp, I'm cut.
Oh,
sent to the farm. So he calls me in, and how do you like the way I'm treating you now?
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
Oh my God. I said, and no one got cut 3 days in. He was making a point with me. I said, you missed the message of what I was trying to say is you can't treat the bottom end players that poorly and expect them to. And so then Rogie said, but they sent me to Phoenix. That was where the farm team was. Yeah. And Gary Unger was captain, our coach made me captain, and I said, Gary, I'm not. No, I've asked for a buyout. I cannot legitimately play here. And then Rogie, the day before the first game, as we were boarding the bus, said, "You want? Okay, I'll buy you."
I didn't know that, Red. I'd forgotten that. Well, with Tommy Webster, for me, again, I was going through the back problems and everything. And again, I did not handle things well either. And the doctor said, listen, you've got to figure it out. You saw it. It's your back, so you go on your schedule. And Tommy Webster wanted me to go to Phoenix to play a couple exhibition games. So I went one game right on Christmas, too. And my back got stiff again and everything. I said, okay, I'm taking a break here. He said, no, you're going to go back there again. You're going to play another game. And so I should have, looking back now, I said, no, I'm not freaking going. The doctors told me they put my own schedule, but I went, hurt my back again, and now I'm hot, right? I'm hot. And again, I was to blame a lot the way I've treated my back. I didn't do the proper things, but again, he's forced to play. So my anger was towards him. So we had a meeting, Cap Raider, Rick Wilson, Rogie, and Tom Webster. And I'd never done this before. I just ripped into Webster. I just said, you're a freaking idiot, and nobody respects you. Those are the only two guys over there the team respects, looking at Cap Raider, and they liked it, but they were kind of like, Tom, you put us on the spot here, right? And Rogie was trying to, Rogie's a great guy, so he's trying to settle things down, and I was hot. I just ripped into him. And same thing, next year training camp came in, and when I can't remember how it works. So we went to training camp, and then they were going to buy me out at the end of training camp, and they came down, and somebody came down and said, listen, Rogie wants to see you. I remember Tom Webster sprinted out of the room to get up to Rogie's office before I got there. And then same thing to me. He says, how do you like things now? Like he was really arrogant.
Oh, he win it.
Yeah. What a dick. I mean, these guys are some of them they're just overcompensating for the fact that they didn't play in the league.
Well, Webster did, but he was a soft guy. And I think he was trying to show everybody that he was a hard ass. Remember, Barry Beck was with the team, and it wasn't working out with Barry. And I think Barry wanted to leave as well. And Tommy Webster went down and had a conversation with Barry. And then he came right into the locker room and kind of bragged about how he ended Barry Beck's career.
What do you get for that? A medal?
Well, but again, he wanted to try to prove that he was that hard guy.
But look at Keenan. Same thing you said. You said he was a feather when he played.
Like Robbie Ftorek would never do that kind of stuff. Robbie was a great competitor, disciplined man. He didn't need to do that.
Right.
He would get mad sometimes, but he treated the players with respect.
Yeah. And with you mentioned Robbie Ftorek. Robbie Ftorek, I never felt. So I would, I went from playing with Wayne some days on that line because they didn't have Tom Sandstrom and Tony Granato at that time. So went from playing with him back to the fourth line, back to not playing. Never felt that Robbie Ftorek, that I was in the dog. Okay, he just says, some days we all have it, some days we don't. Next day is a new day and start. So I always felt fresh the next day. Never felt that I was going to be in the doghouse because I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
It makes it better the next day.
It's interesting having this conversation with Red, because you look back, and again, when we're playing at the time, you're so wrapped up in thinking, look, this is just the way the world is. It's the way it's supposed to be. Now you look back at it, like the hazing, the treatment from coaches, and all this kind of stuff, and other good stuff that people are telling us how great we are too all the time. And we're really thinking that that's really the way the world ends, and that's really who we are. But yeah, you get out of it later. You look back, and it's almost like doing. Like I love playing. It was a great accomplishment. Filled with goals and everything.
I wouldn't be surprised if most jobs are, back in that era that their bosses treated their employees the same way, and we were just in a limelight making good money, and it wasn't a bad spot to be, but you really didn't recognize all the other stuff that maybe came with it.
Yeah. Well, you don't take the 30,000-foot view. You're in it. You're in the muck, and you don't see what's going on around you. But I wanted to ask you, Mike. You mentioned playing on the line with Wayne. Because Tom only scored, I think, one goal in his time with the Kings. But how does it feel when you're with Wayne Gretzky? He set you up for a goal. That's got to be really cool, right?
I found the first game I played with Wayne when Mike Krasniewski was there. He was a left winger, and I was the right winger, and Wayne was the center. And we came back into our own zone, and I'm on the right side in defensive zone coverage, and I don't know where Wayne is. And he's standing on the blue line side of me on the wing. And I'm going, what's going on? And Mike Krasniewski came over and said, you or I, first by back, we go play the center defensive position. Wayne always likes to go on the right wing because he gets on the offense. And that's where he should be. I didn't get that. I loved playing with Wayne. He was simple. He would tell me what to do. He would, we went to play Philadelphia. He said, you go stand here when I get the puck here. And sure enough, he'd be on my stick. And the odd time I'd get a goal, mostly I'd hit into the goaltender, but he see the game offensively so well. And he was really a treat. He didn't say much to me. I never, once they had better players, I never played with them except as when he was double shifting. but
or triple shifting.
yeah, you should. But he was, and it was Paul Fenton and I were extra ones, and we would play with him as a second unit every once in a while. And Wayne was great. I mean, remarkable player, remarkable. I mean, just the way you could see the game offensively.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like Wayne really did. He knew who he was as a teammate, how the league looked at him, how the other players did. So he was pretty good. Well, Red, listen, it's been fantastic to see you again. We're going to have you on again. You're one of my all-time favorites. So,
and I thank you for the information about the hotel, and I expect you there.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom's got to get down to the city. I know you don't. You know,
for Mike Allison and his wonderful wife, I would definitely go into the city. Okay, just for you.
There it is. It's booked.
All right, Red. Good to see you again. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Heard highly about Mike Allison. 2 stops with him.
Oh God, what a great guy! We both thought he was. I have many great teammates, but he's obviously in that list of probably like the top 5 guys. That really look back, and he really underestimates his career. Like he talks, and he's just being humble, I think. But like he was a very valuable player. He probably was not the offensive player that people thought he was going to be, especially based on his first year with the Rangers.
Well, I think the same thing happened to you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
you came up scoring goals, offensive, and then you were turned into he was always thought of as a checking center.
Yeah,
and you were thought of as a defensive defenseman.
Yeah. Well, he really opened up about his mental health.
Yeah, which is great.
Wow, it was great, and you almost feel bad, like God, I was his teammate, I was his close friend, and I didn't know that stuff about his mental health. But I guess it was just so
again, 30,000 view, and then you're in it. It's hard to pick up on that stuff.
Yeah, and there's that whole bravado thing too, where we're all like that. We walk in the locker room, we want to show that there's nothing bothering us and all that kind of stuff. So,
but when Corey Hirsch was on, he said he was crying on the bus. And he said if anybody saw him, he's like, my career was over.
Yeah, I know.
Thankfully, that's gone now.
Yeah, wait, I said too, like you think. So these are some of these guys that are coming out talking about. Imagine all the guys that are not coming out talking about it.
It's a great point he made. Right. Absolutely.
And then you gotta look like, man, we've talked so many times about the alcohol back then. It was
flowing.
Yeah, well, we felt like that was our bonding mechanism, right? And the team was supplying it for us, and that was what. But you wonder how many guys were just trying to hide.
Just hiding.
Yeah, no problem.
Great point. That's a great show, and there's a lot we learned there. We learned about the sock. Now, we have a lot of young listeners, like you said. I spoke to my friend Greg Shaw and his son Austin, who's a 12-year-old player. They listen to every episode. They love hearing it. He's now saying passes come from the heart when he coaches, which you said from Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
But also Jeff Olson, who's a big fan in the city. He listens to every episode, and they take these lessons and they use it on their kids. So the sock incident, kids don't do that at home.
Well, it's probably these guys are probably going to walk around the city now with just naked.
No, I don't think
sock on their penis. You think so?
I don't think they're going to do that.
It's going to be it's like the ice bucket challenge. Maybe people would start doing
the sock challenge.
Yeah, I think about it. Like people do videos now, like on reels on Instagram and everything.
No, I don't think they should do that. I think they should talk about mental health and not hazing their mates, being good teammates, looking out for each other.
What if that becomes a craze though?
I don't think it will. Well, Lawrence says you were involved in the shoulder check event, which is a great event. It was like was it Hayden Thorson? Was that his name? He was a goalie in Connecticut, right? He took his own life, unfortunately, at 16. But his parents did this great event and this great movement where it's like, hey, check in with your teammates. When people seem like they're okay, they're not. And Mike spoke that. Like, you had no idea he wasn't okay.
When he started saying that on the show, I had to stop and think, like, really, like, it's such a, like, I viewed him as such a strong guy.
Yeah.
It was like a really, this foreign thing. Like, really? But I'm not doubting him in any way that it was there.
But you don't know what's going on. You never know what's going on behind the.
Yeah, that's you know what? That's an excellent point, baby. That I never would have thought that. Here it is, 35 years later, that I'm finally hearing about this from Mike. And I've talked to him before too, and he hasn't brought it up. Yeah, obviously, I like the way he said it. He was very confident, in himself, and I felt comfortable to talk that way. The other guy I thought about too is kind of surprised was Kelly Rudy when he brought it up.
Yeah. Oh, that's another one. Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, we've had the guys like the Richie Pilons that attempted suicide.
Yeah, Corey Hirsch.
Yeah.
But I think the most important words you can say to your people is just, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. Reach out to somebody, even if he doesn't look like there's something wrong. Just make
good.
A point. Yeah.
And if they really are good or not. If they're not, it's an opportunity for them to open up and tell you that, hey, I'm struggling. I mean, it's still hard for people to say, especially men, for whatever reason that is.
Yeah.
But it's important to just check in with people.
Yeah, and do it repeatedly too, right? Because to your point, if you asked one time and the guy didn't want to say anything, he was scared to say something because now you're potentially view him differently. But I think in our world now, like it seems like my world, your world, the people that we associate with, there's more people that are comfortable talking about that stuff and understand it more. And I think that's important too. If you're in a world where you are hurting a little bit or you're not comfortable with your mental health, if you're around people that aren't accepting of you talking about it, then you're really around the wrong people.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. You know, I know you don't watch TV, but when The Sopranos came out, Tony Soprano was this mafia boss, and he started going to therapy. And they were like, they wanted to whack him because you know, that you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that's for lesser people, you know. But I think it's important for anyone just to talk to someone. I know in Canada and their mental health, they just say talk to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So just talk to someone. If they can't help you, they can refer you or they can talk to someone else. But just know someone's there for you, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like really go to your way to approach people, random people walking on the street. I've found when I've done this True Good Life thing more often. If I go for a walk now, I make sure I was going to the beach, but there's not many people there.
Yeah.
So now I try to go more in the community where there's people around. So like I'm talking to people all the time. And you can tell it means a lot to them. Like there's one crossing guard at the Western Junior Middle School here, and it's close to my home. And so talking to him, he was talking about his mental health, and you know, he'd gone to Italy and how much healthier he felt. He's got through physical health issues. He dealt like now he gets really excited when he sees me coming, and it feels good too.
Yeah.
Does you feel good?
Yeah, you feel good. He feels good.
Like my people at Costco. When I walk in Costco,
Well, you're the mayor of Costco, Norris the chicken man.
Oh man, it's funny. Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is life is difficult.
Yeah.
We all know the outcome for us and everyone we love. So everyone's going to have anxiety because of that. You have and you not, you know, so.
Especially now, all the stuff going on. We had the shooting up in Maine.
Even on top of the main fact that the outcome is the same for everybody.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we get wrapped up, you know, this. And again, be careful, because I still think the world is a fantastic place. Like
So do I.
The United States, for example, physically, the Great Lakes, the oceans, all that kind of stuff. And there's so many fantastic people. We hear about all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get bombarded with that. And that's why, to me, that's one of the reasons I don't watch TV, because you just get bombarded with all the negative news.
I think it's important to keep in your head that it's basically like 95-5.
Yeah.
Sure. 95% of people are good people, want to go home, want to do the thing. There's 5% knuckleheads, bad people, whatever you call it. But I think for the most part, people are good. They want to go home.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you should, if you can't get to someone, if you're saying, hey, you're okay, and they're not answering, maybe put the sock on.
Yeah.
And then start True Sock Life.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You can rebrand it, you know.
Imagine you seeing like thousands of people walking around the street there naked with just a sock on their junk.
It would take a lot of, you know.
What do you think what women have to do, though? Like to have two socks and a...
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to think about that one for the next episode. This definitely has spiraled, but listen, at the same time, it's much like life. We have a lot of serious topics here and a lot of fun. So,
but I think back, you and I've talked about this privately, but I think back to some of the things I did, and thinking at the time, like at that time when I was walking around, calling myself Mr. New Northern Michigan with a sock,
you know, the right choice.
Yeah, it's smart. It's an intelligent thing to do. Like it's really this woman just minding her own business, sitting here, and I'm walking around.
Well, maybe we should have Helene Elliott on the show.
Yes. When I did the interview with her about Warren Reichel after the fact, like years later, she was fantastic. Great sense of humor. She could have been holding it against me and been bitter, but I think she was more dying laughing because she could tell how uncomfortable I was.
Right. Because you're with your tail between your legs.
Yeah, totally. And she was loving that too. Yeah, because here I am, Mr. Cocky.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, well, great episode. Big Red. That was Mike's nickname.
Big Red. Yeah. Red Dog. Yeah.
Red Dog. Big Red. Mike Allison, number 14. Great episode. Yeah. If you like what you're hearing, please share, spread it around, leave us a review on Apple, and enjoy the shows we have coming out.
All right, you wee bonny lad. Wee bonny lad. All right, grasshoppers. Thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.